Yo, yo, yo. What's up, world? Welcome back to the lab. I am your host, the Nine Cypher. And no doubt you are in tune with Black Dot Chronicles. How you been? How's life treating you? Everything good? I know this world is crazy. Getting crazier by the day. But we're going to keep this progression going. We're going to keep this thing moving. Today I am presenting to you part 2. And what I think will ultimately be a very pivotal source of documentation as we move forward. I'm calling this documentation the Crypto Cult Dark Side of the Moon, the Digital Asset Trojan Horse. And this is part 2. Creation Protocol, the God Code. So before I get started, before I get into it, I'll get everybody a little time to get relaxed, get everything in order, lock the doors, close the windows, the blinds, the curtains. We're about to go into a dark place because we know that's where all the light emanates from. So in part 1 of Crypto Cult, I spoke to you about life in general and blockchain more specifically, where I am, where I'm from, with regards to life and the blockchain. I spoke to you about symbols and symbolism because as we move forward, it is very important that you are symbol literate and you understand how symbols affect you on a subliminal level. All of these things we'll get into today, as well as expanding on the initial conversation we started in part 1. So hopefully everybody is up for this again. I am your host, the Nine Cypher. You are in tune with Black Dot Chronicles. And do me a favor. If you're feeling this, if you think this has any value for you or the people that you care and trust, pass it on. Share this clip. The receipts are in, so I hope that everybody take their time and go back through this. And obviously you can always reach out through the social media outlets if you want to communicate, if you have any rebuttals or any words of inspiration, or you just want to give me a thumbs up. It's all good. So the thing about these symbols, they appear to be mundane, non-invasive, and yet they speak directly to the subconscious. Symbols indeed are the most powerful form of communication in the entire universe. I'm going to say that again. Symbols are the most powerful form, the most potent, the most efficient, the most effective form of communication in the entire universe. So based on part 1, I thought it was necessary for me to clarify and expound on those original topics, the seeds I planted in part 1. I need to show you without any misunderstanding, with the most clear picture I can paint for you. I want to take you inside the minds of these imposters. And just for the record, personally, I'm not a religious man. And I've said this before. I do see God all around me. The reason why I make that statement, because these topics that we will get into and expound upon, they may seem a bit religious in tone, because no doubt they do have religious over and undertones. So as these moments occur, I will relay the message and information accordingly. But as I said, this is only so I can firmly place you inside the minds of the imposters and paint a crystal clear picture of who they are and unveil this force, this driving force which fuels them. All their feeble attempts to force us into this global population, new world order, techno-fascist track and trace, dystopian future. It's a death grid. This is what they have in store for the masses. So I'm looking to unveil all of that with my receipts and this bit of research that I've put together. Because if you don't understand the language of the so-called elite, the deplorables, that's what I call them, then you will never understand the game that's being played. At best, you can be an unwilling participant, unknowing participant. So what I will do in this second installment, creation protocol, the God code, I will define this universal framework that we all exist within. At the same time, I will do my best to chronicle how the beast manipulate the framework. This is an attempt to gain global and ultimately interstellar dominance over everything, over all. Because in the minds and in this new world order of the deplorables, all are subject to the few. There's a lot of information, a lot of receipts I need to drop to balance this account, so I will get through this as quickly as possible. But stick with me, because everything that I present to you moving forward, this is like a language manual. Like you're learning a new language. I am literally showing you the language of the imposters, the deplorables, the so-called elite. So first you need to understand the framework. If you don't understand the framework, then you can't even move forward from here. It's like basic mathematics. You need to understand the framework. So everything is energy, right? Everything is energy. A rock, a speaker box, a plant, a thought, a shape, inanimate and animate objects, sentient and non-sentient forms of creation. Everything has an energy pattern and an energy signature. You need to know that. Second thing you need to know regarding the framework is the universe itself speaks through symbols. Symbols are the framework, are the communication channels through which all creation interfaces. And I'll explain that as we progress. But what you need to know is the universe itself communicates, it speaks through symbols. Symbols are the framework through which all communication, all creation interfaces. So in the holy books, they give you various accounts of the creation protocol, is what I'm calling it. In your holy books, they say creation story. So, in the beginning, there was blackness. They actually say darkness in the Bible, but this is misleading. Darkness is an attribute or accent, while blackness is the living being who incubated the entirety of existence. So there's a distinguishable difference between blackness and darkness in relation to the creation protocol, in relation to your religious tales of the creation. So I'm going to attempt to give you my version of the creation protocol and do my best to leave out the hot sauce, masala, the allegory as best as possible so you can get a clear picture of everything. You can have tangible information that you can use and reflect on these words moving forward. So this is my version of the creation protocol. In the beginning, there was blackness. From the midst of blackness, creation began to unfold unto itself through a process called geometric progression. Now, I'm going to define geometric progression as the generation of mathematical equations which produce geometric patterns or symbols. All right? Now, through the unfolding of blackness, 7 base symbols were generated. So when I say 7 base symbols, like, your shapes, a triangle, square, circle, diamond, pentagon, this is what I mean. So through the unfolding of blackness, you had 7 base symbols that were generated. Ancients call these symbols sacred geometry. Sacred geometry. The sacred geometry is the building block or God code for all of creation. Now, through the interfacing of the 7 sacred symbols, the seed of life, or as I call the soul, was generated. I hope you understand what I'm saying. I'm giving you the steps of creation. Again, in the holy books, they talk about in the beginning there was blackness. And then it talks about the 7 days of creation. This is the allegory they're telling you. Just like we tell our kids fairy tales. These are the allegories that we tell ourselves as adults to have a rudimentary understanding of the creation protocol. So I'm just going to start back from the beginning so we can really internalize this, right? You have blackness in the beginning. Blackness began to unfold onto itself through this process called geometric progression, which is the generation of mathematical equations, which produce geometric patterns or symbols. Now, through the unfolding of blackness, the 7 base symbols were generated, which the ancients called sacred geometry. Sacred geometry is the building block, or, as I am terming, God code for all of creation. Through the interfacing of the 7 sacred symbols, the seed of life was generated, the soul. The soul then gave birth to the flower, the flow. So through the interfacing of the 7 sacred symbols, the seed of life was born in the womb of blackness. Out of the seed of life sprung the flower, the flow. After the flow, the universe was bloom, and life as we know it was generated from then to now. Imposters, they call this process the Big Bang, but again, that's misleading. So I'm giving you a scientific, mathematical, pure form of all of your religious allegory that's been told to you over the years. This is the base seed level. This is the origin code, the Genesis block, if you will, of all of your religious stories regarding creation. Okay? So, with regards to this creation protocol, there's something that you need to know. And this is why it is the God code. So, from unknown to known, the seen and unseen world, the abstract to the material, nothing exists beyond the boundaries of the framework except the architect, singular, or architects, plural. All right? Nothing exists beyond the framework except for the creators or creator. And it doesn't matter if you're a believer, whether you're an atheist, agnostic, or a naturist. All are subject to the God code. Animate, inanimate objects, everything is subject to the God code. Nothing, no one escapes the framework. Period. Okay? So just like your holy books, they tell stories in allegory to articulate mathematical equations. Just like in the Bible, when Moses went up to the mountain and was spoken to by God, he came down with the 10 commandments. So similarly, within the God code and those 7 sacred symbols, as they begin to expand from above to below, and these geometric patterns became colors and shapes, colors and sounds and lights and thoughts and planets and seeds, electrons, atoms, protozoa. All the building blocks of life, all were generated from the God code. So within the God code, there are concepts or aspects surrounding reciprocity, regeneration, balance, correspondence, even deficit and lack. Everything is covered in the God code. So these 7 sacred symbols are corresponding to 7 laws which govern the framework. This is how they come down from the highest to the lowest. This is how they're born from the seed level through to complete bloom. So I'm showing you this. The reason why I'm taking the time to break this down, because again, if you're going to get inside the minds of your would-be conqueror, then you need to understand the language which they speak. You need to understand the reasons they move in the manner in which they move. What's their motivation? What's their ultimate goal? These are all the things that we will get into in this creation protocol. So that was the creation protocol itself. I've spoken to you about the framework, and now I will speak to you about the Beast playbook, is what I call these imposters. The Beast logos, those who are loyal to the Beast. So within their playbook, they use symbols and coded language to communicate esoteric knowledge in plain sight and amongst each other. At the same time, they're implanting formulaic seeds of involuntary thought patterns inside the subconscious of the masses. This is no doubt an attempt to engineer consent through covert means and tactics. Okay, so they use symbols and coded language to communicate esoteric knowledge in plain sight and amongst each other, and to implant formulaic seeds of involuntary thought patterns inside the subconsciousness of the unknowing masses. And this is an attempt to engineer consent through covert means and tactics. So before we move forward, I just want to define one or two things specifically right now in this moment. I want to define the terms esoteric and subconscious, just to give it a bit more color and a bit more clarity as we move forward. So, first we'll define esoteric, and this is really important. I hope you guys are getting this as we put this together. All right, let's go. Definition of esoteric: designed for or understood by specifically the initiated alone, i.e. a body of esoteric legal doctrine. Another definition: requiring or exhibiting knowledge that is restricted to a small group, like esoteric terminology. Broadly difficult to understand, like esoteric subjects. Limited to a small circle, engaging in esoteric pursuits or secret pursuits, hidden pursuits, private or confidential pursuits, an esoteric or hidden purpose of special, rare, or unusual interest. Esoteric building materials, right? So this is the definition of esoteric. The main thing you need to gather from this is hidden information or things only available for a small group or restricted to a small group, whether it be terminology, doctrine, pursuits, or purposes. Esoteric means only a small select few have available access to this. Okay, so that's esoteric. Now we'll go to subconscious, and this is very important. The definition of subconscious. Okay, so the part of your mind that notices and remembers information when you are not actively trying to do so, and influences your behavior even though you do not realize it. Whoa. So again, subconscious, the part of your mind that, the part of your mind that notices and remembers information when you are not actively trying to do so, and influences your behavior even though you do not realize it. All right? And influences your behavior even though you do not realize it. This is the power of the subconscious. The subconscious is everything when it comes to the mental capacity, the mind, and on the material level, the brain. The subconscious sits at the seed of all of that. Everything that we think, everything that we know, everything that we think that we know. The seed was planted in your subconscious. So I just wanted to quickly break down those two definitions for you. Now, what I'll do is go back and I'll read this Beast playbook again so you can understand. Now, with the definitions that I just gave to you, you can fill those definitions into this explanation, all right? So, the Beast playbook, they use symbols and coded language to communicate esoteric knowledge while they hide it in plain sight amongst each other, and to implant formulaic seeds of involuntary thought patterns into the subconscious of the unknowing masses. This is an attempt to engineer consent of the masses through covert tactics. Okay? So they're communicating their secret language amongst each other through symbols, coded language. At the same time, they're implanting into the subconscious of the unaware masses the marching orders. The most impressionable part of who we are. There are constant messages being implanted, and we are constantly being bombarded with all of these messages based on the fact that they understand the subconscious way better than most your average individual walking the street will ever do. So understand that that's their playbook. They speak in esoterics and they communicate to your subconscious covertly without you knowing, because we don't understand their language. But now we are about to learn the language of the beast. Now this is their main agenda. Within that main agenda, you've got 6 items. And once again, for those who are listening, thanks for tuning in. This is Black Dot Chronicles. You are in the lab. And I am your host, The Nine Cypher. Part 2, Crypto Cult, Dark Side of the Moon, the Digital Asset Trojan Horse. We are in progression with Creation Protocol, the God Code. All right. So, main agenda of the beast. 6 items. The first item, they pervert, disrupt, and destroy nature, creation, and the God Code. That's the number 1 agenda. pervert, disrupt, and destroy nature, creation, and the God code. Number 2, they speak and present the opposite of truth. They speak and present the opposite of truth. Anything they show you, anything they say, anything they bring you, 99.9% of the time will be the opposite of what's real, true, and honest. There's always a paradox, meaning that 0.1 of a time, they may actually present the truth in plain sight instead of hiding the truth in plain sight. But if you're a betting man and you're dealing with the law of numbers and averages and proportions, then 99.9% of the time, they speak and present the opposite of truth. And also they hide the truth in plain sight, as I just said. So while they presenting to you and speaking to you the opposite of truth, they're also hiding the truth in plain sight through their esoteric means of communication. All right? They extract death from life in every occasion. Every occasion. They extract death from life. Item 5, they breed fear. They embrace the profane, the perverted, and unnatural. Say that again. They breed fear, embrace the profane, the perverted, and unnatural. They promote disintegration, division, and decay. They promote disintegration, division, and decay. All right? Those are the 6 items under their main agenda that you need to know. Now we're going to go into the toolbox of the beast. All right? So when I say the toolbox, I'm saying these are the things that they use in their manipulation framework. These are their tools. Like, I'm a technician. I've got certain tools that I need to do my job, and the job sometimes is more specific. I can't use the same tool to do every job. All right? So sometimes I have to combine everything in my box, use a couple of tools, whatever. So these are the 5 tools in the beast toolbox, right? They use the elements as a tool. When I say elements, I mean earth, water, fire, and air. And everything that I'm saying to you, these are definitely abstract type subjects. So you're saying, how can you use elements as a tool? Again, everything is energy, right? Everything has an energy signature, whether it's animate or inanimate, whether it's sentient or a rock. Everything has an energy signature. So the energy of earth, the energy of water, the energy of fire, the energy of air has a certain vibration, has a certain color, it has a certain shape, has a certain feeling. Okay? So the second tool in their box is astrology, the 12 signs of the zodiac. Again, attributes and characteristics. And I'll give more illustration into all of these things. I'm just breaking them down right now. The third tool in the box is numerology, which deals with synchronicity, auspicious energy signatures, right? Now the fourth item in their toolbox is color. Color is like a advertisement for feelings. They display mood. They're meant to represent the mood, attitude, or perspective of whatever the focal point is, right? Whether it's a person or thing or place, an idea, okay? Attributes and characteristics. And number 5, and most important, which leads me to this entire scenario with crypto cult and symbols and symbology and understanding the very, extremely important matter of symbols and understanding them and becoming symbol literate, right? So number 5, I call imperfect symbology. And again, I'll give you receipts and examples of this moving forward. All right. So imperfect symbology represents the disruption, perversion of the creation protocol, meant to redirect, reconfigure, redefine the original transmissions of the God code. So what I mean by imperfect symbology is something that everybody would know about, is the symbol for the swastika, or the swastika symbol that was taken by supposedly the Nazis, Hitler, during that time period, early 1900s, and they used it as a symbol for their regime. So says the history books. So if we look at the swastika in its origins, we see that those legs on the swastika, they're rotating in one direction pre-Hitler using the swastika, or so they say. So the legs are rotating clockwise. Now when we see the swastika re-emerge in the early 1900s under the Nazi regime, according to their books, the legs of the swastika were then bent and reversed so that they are flowing counterclockwise. So this is an example of imperfect symbology, where you take these emanations of the God code generated by the 7 sacred symbols, the foundation of all the creation, all the universe, all the universes. You take these emanations, these symbols, and you pervert them in one way or the next, hence changing the original flow, changing the original intent, changing aspects of the God code. So these are the 5 tools in the toolbox of the beast. You now understand the main agenda. I've given you their playbook. I've given you my illustration of creation protocol, or the story of creation. And I gave you a basic insight into the framework. So what I'll do now, and I think I'm actually going to break this up into 2 separate parts again, because again, I just want to keep your attention and not actually beat you over the head with too much information and dialogue, because there's definitely more to come. But what I'll do right now is show you a few images and imagery that illustrates some of the things that we just discussed. All right. So here we go. Again, the 4 elements that I spoke about, right? Earth, water, fire, air. Notice they're all different colors. And then also I spoke to you about the zodiac, characteristics and attributes. Pay attention to the symbolism of these zodiac signs. And numbers, numerology, the same thing. Pay attention to the numbers. Numbers mean things to different people. The colors mean things to different people. The attribute, the signatures, energetically. These are the languages, combined, these are the languages of the beast. There you see the swastika in reverse, the Nazi flag. Again, an example of what we spoke about with regards to the imperfect symbology. Here you can see, I'm showing you of a photo that I took myself in India of swastikas on buildings in South India and West India. They're everywhere, doorsteps. There's few places you can go in India and you won't see the swastika with the wings going clockwise. Here, this is an image of a lady in Pondicherry doing these images, this geometry fresh every morning all over the South. You see, again, the swastika and the 8, the infinity 8 sign inside of there. These are done fresh every morning all over the south of India. These are called mandalas. Again, you see the atom symbol. You see all of the geometry all day, every day. Symbols are symbols. They're energy patterns. They don't have any right, wrong, good, bad, up or down. They're just energy patterns, and they only do what they do, right? We make them what they are when we pervert their energy and we take them out of their original state, just like anything. So this is like addendum A to creation protocol. And shortly thereafter, I'll come immediately with part B of creation protocol. Again, I don't want to beat you guys over the head with this, so I'll keep it short and hopefully like, 35 minute ingestible morsels. I am your host, The Nine Cypher. You are in tune with Black Dot Chronicles live inside Soda Sound Lab. And this is a part 2, which I am entitling Creation Protocol, the God Code. And this is the Crypto Cult Dark Side of the Moon, Digital Asset Trojan Horse. I hope this has been good for all. Hope this has been informative for all, but if not, get at me. We can discuss. Just make sure you got your receipts. And I'm going to continue this even further as I'll actually get into more of these symbols, who's using them, what they represent, and how they affect us, and how that is related to the blockchain and cryptocurrency. Until then, everybody keep your head up, stay focused, stay sharp, and by all means, get that sun up. The Nine Cypher. We out.